What's going on, everybody? It's Neil from 2AF. Thanks for watching. Like a lot of the videos that we wind up doing, many times they are requests from customers. And so we just had one gentleman purchase this Centurion gun who had seen a lot of our YouTube videos before and asked us to do one about, what would I say about cleaning a gun? And I'll preface this by saying I might not be the best person to ask about this because I am not really fanatical about cleaning my gun like some people are. But at the same time, I've been using and shooting these guns for over 25 years. I could say almost never have problems with malfunctions. And my guns run well, and usually if there is an issue, it's something very, very simple, and most of the time something that couldn't have been avoided, like a bad round of ammo or whatever. So as much as I say it to myself that I might not be the person to ask about cleaning guns, at the same time I don't have issues with it. What I tell people most frequently is that a gun that is spotlessly clean but doesn't have enough oil, or any oil I've seen, that gun will stop working before a gun that's pretty dirty to almost filthy but has sufficient oil. Also, the dirtier your gun always needs some oil to cycle, and the dirtier it gets, the more it needs it and the more frequently it will need it. So you can just continue to put oil on a dirty gun and it will keep working pretty well, but you got to clean it at some point. And for me, usually when I look at a gun and I'm like, that's pretty dirty, that's when I'll start cleaning it. So first and always, make sure that the gun is unloaded. And obviously, mag comes out first every time. Check your safety, check your chamber. All right, obviously this one is clear and empty. Now to take it apart, these two pins here, takedown pin, pivot pin, you can call them both takedown pins, whatever. Just push them out, right? I like for these to be able to come out without having to get a tool or anything to do it. Having a good tight fit that's a decent thing, but sometimes it gets so tight that you need a tool to take it apart, and I don't like that. We'll do the lower first, because really the lower is going to be really pretty easy. If you're going to shoot with a suppressor or silencer, inside of this trigger area here is going to get dirty. Your trigger is going to get dirty. Inside of this area is going to get dirty. If you're not shooting with a silencer or suppressor, it's not really going to get that dirty. The face of your buffer is also going to get pretty dirty. Inside there, you're really only going to see that get fouled if you're using a suppressor. But in any case, if you're using a suppressor and if it's getting dirty in here, probably once every 2 or 3 times that you clean the gun, you can take out these trigger pins and take the trigger out and clean inside this pocket, clean the trigger off really well. There's another video we've done about installing triggers, and so you can watch that if you need to learn how to get all this back together. Right in front of the buffer here, there is a little detent. Push that down and your buffer and spring are going to come out. Really, I don't spend a lot of time cleaning this. I will wipe it down and then wipe it again with like an oily rag or something like that, and then just put it back in, and that's pretty good. Inside your mag well, again, only really if you're shooting with a silencer is this going to get dirty. If you're not shooting with a silencer, inside here is really never going to get dirty. Your bolt catch here, I'll usually lift this up and just take something like a Q-tip. This is probably, I don't use a lot of tools to clean my gun, but I do use Q-tips. They have specific gun cleaning Q-tips. You can get them if you want. I don't find that they really do a better job than your regular drugstore Q-tip. I'll get underneath here and clean this area out. I don't really have to take this out. Usually you can clean all this sufficiently without having to take this out. And again, that really is only going to be a problem if you're shooting with a silencer. If you're not shooting with a silencer, none of this is really going to get that dirty. Probably almost ever. Now, most of your time is going to be spent cleaning the upper. When you take, first, in case you don't know this, just about everybody probably knows this, but if you don't, pull this back just partially, take the bolt out, leave the charging handle in for the moment. When you take the charging handle out, you're going to pull it back, it's going to stop. It's not going to come all the way out. Once it stops, then just bring it down, and then it'll come out of this larger hole instead of this charging handle track. And then that's all you got here. Start with the easier parts first. Your charging handle, again, especially if you're using a suppressor, this is going to get dirty. I just wipe it down with a rag. Your bolt, you can leave it like this if it's not too dirty and just kind of clean everything here. If it starts to get really dirty, or once maybe every 5-6 times you clean the gun, you can take the whole thing apart. So you'll see there's a little cutout here. Inside there is a pin. Usually you can get this out without a tool or anything. Man, I just cut my nails, so we'll see if this works. If you happen to need a tool, like you can use something to pull this out here. You can also press it from this side, and then you'll see this. That's your firing pin retaining pin. That'll come out. You'll just wipe that down and clean it. Wipe it with an oily rag. That'll allow your firing pin to come out. Same thing, just wipe it down with cleaner and or then an oily rag just to get it. You don't want this stuff dripping with oil, but if it has a coating of it, that is helpful. After you do that, here you have your cam pin. Now, they sell cam pins that are marked. This is not one of them, but it is helpful if you put this back in the same way every time. It just wears more evenly that way. If you don't do that, it's not too detrimental. It's not really a big deal. But if you can remember to put this back in the same way all the time, it is marginally helpful. So to take this out, it's a rectangle. Right now, the short end of the rectangle is on the top and the bottom. We're going to want to turn that. So turn it 1/4 turn, and that will allow for this to come out. Same thing, wipe it down, clean it, and then wipe it down with an oily rag. Once you've done that, then your bolt can come out. We'll look at just the carrier right now. Same thing, you're going to clean all this. Some areas where you're probably going to want to get to with Q-tip or something like that is inside of this area here where the firing pin goes. Inside of here, this should all be chrome lined and easy to see how it's dirty because it's like a lighter silver, lighter gray color when it's clean. You'll get all inside here. Usually in this track area here, you'll just get in there with a Q-tip, clean it all out. The rear of the bolt carrier doesn't really get too dirty, but like I said, once you've got all this cleaned out, same thing as before, wipe it down with a clean a rag or something that has cleaner on it, and then I will usually wipe it down with something that has oil. Now we'll get to applying oil for functioning of the gun in a minute when we're more towards the end of the video. So that's mostly it with the bolt carrier. Just make sure this is all cleaned out. This is one of the pieces, if you're using a silencer or not, your bolt group is going to get dirty. So that is one area. Now, every few times you're going to clean your bolt. When I do that, I usually just clean inside here around the edges. I'll clean in between all the lugs here. And again, just pretty quickly. This is an important thing though. The tail of the bolt here, it's going to get carbon buildup on it. Don't worry too much about it. There are tools to scrape this so it's perfectly clean. And I get it. If you're cleaning your gun, you want to see it clean. But the tail of the bolt here, it's going to get carbon on it. I definitely don't really recommend using those tools to scrape this. what will wind up happening is you're going to scrape the finish, and the finish is here to protect this metal. So, you know, while it's not the end of the world if that happened, it's definitely better to have the finish on here protecting the end of this metal. Further, this goes in and out of here. Every time you're shooting the gun, it's rotating a little bit and coming in and out. The buildup that's on here, as it starts to build up and get to be too much, the inside of the carrier is going to break it down. So you'll notice you can shoot these guns, shoot them a few thousand rounds a year, shoot them for 20 years, that it's never going to build up so much to where it's a problem. When it starts to build up, it breaks itself down while it's moving inside the carrier. So don't really worry about that. Again, once you're done cleaning all this, oh wait, let me go over this. Maybe once every 5 or 6 times I clean the gun, I'll take the ejector off. Just so you know, this little circle here, that is the ejector, and this is the extractor. I meant to say take the extractor apart. You'll see there's a small pin that goes through here. Just take something and you can push that out. There's that small pin. Then the extractor. All right, and I'll clean under this lip that's here. I'll clean inside here again with a Q-tip, some cleaner and then some oil, and then I'll put it back together. Now this is under spring tension, and also we'll talk about this. This is the extractor. This extractor has an O-ring around it. You'll notice some will have an O-ring, some of them won't. This is a wearable part. It's gonna last thousands of rounds. It's hard to say how many because how you shoot the gun has a lot to do with that. If you shoot it pretty lightly, it's gonna last longer. If you shoot it pretty heavy, it's gonna need to be replaced sooner. If you shoot with a suppressor, sooner than that. So in any case, this just pulls right out and you can replace it. There's a little insert in there. Sometimes the insert's black like this one. Sometimes the insert's blue, although I haven't seen blue inserts for a while. But in any case, when you're gonna put this back, it's under that extractor spring is given spring tension. So you're gonna have to push this in pretty hard to get that pin all the way through again. All right, and then that's it for your bolt. The upper receiver, really all inside here is going to get pretty dirty. I don't know if you can see it, but there's like a star, the star chamber. The chamber of the gun is shaped like a star. Get in there with Q-tips and stuff. If you have compressed cleaner, that's good. Like in like a spray that has, you know, not a pump, but an aerosol spray or something like that that has some pressure. That's good to get all of that out of there. You'll clean all inside here. I'll usually just use a rag, and I'll get something like a toothbrush. I'll use the opposite end of a toothbrush, something like this, right? I'll use the opposite end of a toothbrush, and I'll just kind of get in here and clean it out. I'll also then get a rag. I'll put the rag in here, then I'll push this in here and then clean that out as well. It just gives me a little bit more area to get that done. Now, the barrel, it's different with different guns. So this is a chrome lined barrel. How I take care of this barrel is gonna be slightly different than if it were like a stainless match barrel. Now, chrome lined barrels, you don't really have to worry about it too much. Some people like to just use like a bore snake, and that's fine. I don't think there's a problem with bore snakes. I think bore snakes are a pretty good tool, but this is important, right? This is an important warning or note. You have to get the right caliber, right? So I have seen, they make these in all different kinds of calibers, and everyone has its own color. Several times I have seen somebody use the wrong caliber, always in a bigger caliber, try it, put it through there, and it gets stuck. Like, I would say next to permanently stuck in there, and you have to, most of the time, pay somebody to remove it. It's a problem. So don't do that. If you're gonna use a bore snake, and I think that they're fine to use, absolutely 100%, no exceptions, use the right caliber, right? So this is one for 223, 556 will work for that. Don't use one for a 243, right? You think, man, that's almost the same. And it is almost the same, but not when it comes to the rounds themselves or the bore snakes. So if you use a bore snake, get the right caliber one. 223 and 556 are interchangeable, that's fine. They have a 22 pistol one, that would work as well, it's just shorter. The 223 rifle or 556 rifle one has a little bit more. The bristles that are built into here, I think, are in a little longer area, and the whole piece itself, the whole bore snake itself is longer. Even though I don't really mind these, I think that they're fine to use. I don't really use them that much. You can get a sectional rod, right? Something that comes in sections like these. This isn't bad to use, but the sections as they go together, they might not fit perfectly well, and you can have burrs or something here, and that could scratch the inside of your barrel. It's probably not as likely for a chrome line barrel, but a stainless match barrel or something like that, I probably would want to use a single piece rod as well. Now, let's go ahead and do this. I'll put this together. I'm not going to use a brush just because I'm just doing this for like an example. I don't know how important this is, right? But I was brought up and taught that the brush really only goes in the direction of the bullet. So what that means is your rod is going to go in here, right? I'll attach the brush here and then pull it through so the brush is traveling in the same direction as the bullet. I don't really know how that important that is or not. I can tell you that it is easier to pull the rod than it is to put the rod on here and then try and push the rod through here. So I've just always found it a lot easier to pull the brush through in the direction of the bullet instead of trying to push the brush through in the direction of the bullet. So pulling it is a lot easier for me than trying to push it through. I'll also, this is just me personally, I've just found it to be easy. Like I said, I don't spend a lot of time cleaning my guns, but I recognize that they do need to be cleaned. You got to take care of your stuff so it takes care of you. I will put some foaming bore, excuse me. I'll put foaming bore cleaner in here and just kind of let this sit to the side while I'm cleaning everything here. And then I'll come to this last, just like I did in the video. And then that foaming bore cleaner has had a chance to work in here. And then I'll clean it just like we showed. I will put a couple of patches through there. I'll take the brush off of the end of the rod and put like one of the patch holders on, and then do the same thing. Just run a patch through there with some cleaner a few times once I've done scrubbing it. And then after that, again, an oily patch and just put it through there. Especially if the gun's gonna sit for a while, I'll just have that oil in there. The chrome lining is really not gonna, I mean, I can't say that it'd never rust, but that would take quite a while for that to happen. In any case, I'll put an oily patch through there last. And really that's about it. After I do that, I'll kind of wipe the whole outside of the gun down with an oily rag. If you go out and it's raining or damp, or the gun's in like the dew of the grass or something like that, the steel parts that are on here can get rust on them. It's usually just surface rust, so it's not a big deal. It just wipes right off, especially if you get to it soon enough. So your takedown pins here, those can get some rust. Your magazine release, the whole assembly, the bolt catch, that can get it on there. The safety, many times your castle nut here, and then the hardware on the stock. I'll just wipe that stuff down. On the upper, this one it's not really going to happen to because it has the mag pull, but if you have a steel dust cover, that'll also get it pretty quickly. And then your forward assist is really the only other part on the gun itself. Optics mounts and stuff like that may have issues with that as well. The barrel, it's pretty good if you have a rail that's easy to come off that's not a deal breaker, it's not crucial, but if you can get your rail off of the upper, you can wipe down the barrel. Because like I said, the barrel is going to it gets hot, and so any oil that's on there is going to burn off fast. And then that just has like the Parkerized finish that's on there, or whatever finish that you do have on your barrel. You can start to see rust under there, especially like I said, if you're out in the rain. So if you have a rail that's easy to take off, and this one is, let's just do it. So this rail is pretty easy to take off. You just put the Allen wrench in here. You'll undo these. If you have anything on your rail, like a laser or some type of aiming device, keep your optics off the rail, obviously, but if you have some other type of aiming device, once you do this, you should re-zero it, check zero. But on this specific one, this is a Centurion. You'll loosen these. There's a little spacer in here. That'll come out. And once you have those out, this rail comes right off. And now you can reach your barrel for maintenance, right? And really all you're gonna have to do for maintenance, if you start to see some rust build up here because it's been out in the rain or whatever it is, I'll get the brush again with your cleaner or oil and just brush it down, and then I'll coat it with oil as well. Just a light coat, and then just put it back together. So when you're putting this rail back on, it just fits right back on here. For this rail, it uses this spacer. The tip of that spacer goes towards the barrel nut. It drops in here. Get it to line up. Once you have it lined up, then these screws can go and drop back in. And we'll read the instructions and put the proper torque value on here. Some brands will tell you to use Loctite on those screws. Some brands will tell you not to use Loctite on those screws. So just be sure that you have read your manual and you know what the manufacturer of your rail suggests for this, because it's not always the same. It's very rarely the same. Everybody kind of has their own. All right, now oiling the gun back up. Really the only place on the gun that needs oil to function well is your whole bolt group and the area where this goes. So I will get a visible amount of oil on that bolt, right? You don't want it dripping off there, but you definitely want to see it. I'll put this in here. Now you can see ejector, extractor. You want to have the extractor on the same same side as these notches that the forward assist hit, right? So you'll turn that. If you look in here, you're not going to be able to see it on, well, I'll show it. If you look in here, you're going to see, you see that hole? This hole that's in your bolt is going to line up with this hole that the cam pin goes in. Now, right now I have it where the ejector is on the same side as all of those notches, and this cam pin is not going to fit back in, right? Now, I can tell you that one time I've seen it on a gun, a good brand gun, where it would go in. It was not supposed to. But turn this to where now the extractor is on the same side as the notches. Line it up, and this will drop right in. Once you've got that dropped in, turn it 1/4 turn, so the small edges of the rectangle are on the left and the right here. Once that's back in, your firing pin will drop straight in the hole here. Just kind of angle it like this. It'll find its home and push it all the way in. Make sure that it's pushed all the way in, and then put your cam pin back in. Make sure that that goes all the way through. Now, you've got a visible amount of oil on your bolt. I will also oil the carrier up, especially on the front end. And I'll also put a light coat of oil all inside of this upper receiver here. I'll take a light coat of oil, put it on the stem of the charging handle. Charging handle goes back in. Now you can't go in here because these ears will block that. So put it in the large opening, press towards the top, bring it back, and it'll fall right into place. Push it forward. Now, this is important. This bolt comes in and out, right? To put the bolt back in, the bolt has to be out, away from the receiver. If it's not, this cam pin is going to block its path from going in. So, pull the bolt out. This is your gas key. The gas key goes in this cutout in the charging handle, and then push it all in together. And that's it. You've got a visible amount of oil in here. Upper will go back on the lower. And it's back together, hopefully cleaned and oiled, ready for the next several range trips. Again, thanks for watching. If you need any help with any of this, always be in touch. Head on over to 2af.com if you need guns. We don't have a whole lot of cleaning stuff on the website. There is some. But again, I got to be honest with you, I'm not really too specific on what cleaning products I use. I do try to keep them, like I don't try to mix oils. You know, I've seen where that can go bad sometimes. But whatever's around, I kind of like to use. For an AR, especially if you're not cleaning it after every 10 or 20 rounds or every range trip, thicker oils are better than thinner oils. There are a few oils I don't really like I don't really like Rem oil. It's really thin. And kind of watery thin oils, I try to avoid that if possible. I do like thicker stuff. Slip 2000, especially the EWL. I like the Lucas Extreme Gun Oil. And you know, I'm saying some names here, but like I said, I don't get too wrapped up about what oil to use. If your gun is dirty, don't worry about it so much as long as it's got a good amount of oil on there. But again, head on over to 2af.com. If we can help with any of this stuff, just let me know. While you're over there, get signed up for email notifications, and be in touch if I can help with anything. Neil at 2af.com. Call or text 904-593-6922. Or just be in touch on any of these social media platforms. Always happy to help. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.